What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to the very first installment of the Creator Chat podcast. I am so excited to be starting this venture. I tend to start a new, very large project every new year. The birth of my main channel was actually a January 1st, 2020 channel baby. So every new year, every time I get around that December end of a year, I always want to try a new thing. After year one on YouTube with my main channel, I then launched my second channel, which was my content coaching channel, and that launched year two. And then at that same time, I launched my variety podcast, Nigel, a personal podcast, to go ahead and match the variety channel that I had. So it only makes sense for my fourth venture to be this beautiful podcast here, the Creator Chat Podcast, where we will talk about all things creator, all things influencer, all things monetization, YouTube, Instagram, branding, anything that I can think of. Now, I know some people may be thinking this may be too much, this may be too extra. I already have a content coaching creator channel that I upload classes to, and I have my series over there, Creator Spotlight, where I talk to all different types of other creators on that second channel. But I really thought long and hard, and I'm in love with my main channel. I love running the variety channel, and I'm interested in so many different things as an entertainer and as a performer that it only makes sense that I take the inspiration of the world and throw that all back onto that variety channel. And it feels so good to be a full time creator from that. But after doing so much studying on YouTube myself and so much extensive research, I know that it's in my best interest to niche down as far as wanting to see the success of a channel. And when it comes to all the things that I'm interested in, the only thing that I could think to niche down and start another channel with was that content coaching, that creation, all the things creator chat. And this is the only thing that makes sense to have another podcast for, and a niche down podcast, because this is something I could talk about for hours, which is what I do. My dream, my passion for creating content, for doing YouTube, for branding myself the proper way. This journey of growing in the creator industry has been so much for me, and so exciting, but also lost, because we are in the beginning and in the process of creating something that was not here years ago. So we're very much in the beginning of something beautiful, and I'm so honored to be a part of that. But it also limits the amount of knowledge that's out there to grow in this industry. To become the greatest I can possibly be is just kind of like a very cloudy road. Like, I know that I'm meant for this, and this is definitely my dream to continue to be successful in content creation, but it can be very difficult to not know which path to follow or what to do next, because everyone's journey is individually unique. But the one thing that has helped me guide my way through this journey is all the podcasts out there, all the mentors out there, all the YouTube channels that center around content creation and giving you those tips and tricks on how to get views, and those tips and tricks on how to rank with your title. All that stuff I learned, and I enjoyed it so much that I love teaching it back in my own fresh way. And that's why I have the second channel. That's why I have this podcast here, because it took me a minute to realize, like, no, it's not too saturated. Yes, there are hundreds of podcasts. Yes, there are hundreds of those channels. But I want to be able to teach what I've been taught through all the mentors and through all the podcasts I listen to in my own way. There may be information all wrapped together in one of these episodes that you may need to hear, but it may be the accumulation of different pieces that I've heard from different people throughout all my research. So I think the more you do and the more people that you sit down and listen to, the better you will be as a creator. And I don't believe in like gatekeeping. So one thing that is really important about this creator chat is really creating that kind of vulnerable, open space space here where I'm telling you things as they happen, just like the vlogs and the classes on my content coaching channel. I am teaching you as I learn it. And I think having the podcast and being able to speak longer and more raw will allow me to vent, and this will therapeutically help me as a creator, because one thing that I have gone through is that whole feeling of not having a lot of people to talk to. And another thing you guys should know is that my variety channel podcast, Nigel, a personal podcast, is just me as well. And so will this one. I am going to probably grow this to a point where I'm thinking about putting a link down below where people can apply to be a guest on here. And I would love to talk to other creators. I would love to learn their story and make that part of these episodes and part of this journey, because I know for a fact you learn so much from interviews, you learn so much from listening to other people tell their stories. So I would love to have people on here. If you're a creator and you're listening to this and you want to share your YouTube story, please let me know in the comments down below, or write a review and let me know, or DM me over on Instagram, Princess Pudding, or find any, my contact information is everywhere. So definitely reach out if there's not already a link below to apply to be a guest on this show. I would love to have you. But if I don't get those guests, if I can't line them up, if there's no one who wants to come on here and talk creator chat with me, this will be a solo thing. I have no problem coming on here and venting my feelings, because it's going to therapeutically help me, because there's not a lot of creator friends in my life. So having this podcast, having my coaching channel, and loving what I talk about, and being so passionate about YouTube and the family that I've grown on there, and the impact that I want to have in the world, all that means so much to me. So to be able to speak about it freely is very, very special to me. So I appreciate this podcast. I appreciate anyone who's listening. And just so you understand that I would love to have guests on here. I would love to hear other people's YouTube stories, but if they don't come along, this will just be me speaking my mind. And it's exciting because I think that this will grow just like a channel will. I think that I will learn more about podcasting just like a channel will. And with my main variety channel, I did learn so much. But the things that I've learned on the second channel, the content creation channel, and it being niche down for content creators, I learned even more. And it's so crazy to say, because on the main channel I'm at over 55,000 subscribers, and then I'm only at 200 over on the content coaching channel at this time. But I still have learned equally from both channels, because they're both two different types of channels. And it just goes to say how unique this industry is, depending on what type of content you make and how different everyone's journey is. And I just really can't wait to have other people on here, if they are available, to kind of talk about their journeys and get into the nitty-gritty of things, but also just come on here and let you guys know what I'm feeling about certain topics. But for this first introductory episode, I just wanted to let you guys know where I'm coming from, and just kind of tell you how I became a content creator. And I've already given you little pieces here and there, but I figured I'd tell you a story from beginning to end, just so that you have a better understanding of where I'm getting all of my information, why I feel like I have the value to create a podcast like this, as well as a second channel that is about all of this. So just to give you a little background on me, Nigel Battle is my name, and I have been a performer and entertainer my entire life. I started doing theater when I was very, very young in summer camp, and I did about two shows a summer for like 6 or 7 years in a row. And then once I got into middle school, I started theater and doing drama there as a class, as well as choir. And then I got into my first theater program after school. And when I was 12 years old, I landed my first lead in a musical, and it was up from there. I never looked back. And it's so interesting, because when I was a performer younger in those theater days at the theater camps, I was always an ensemble. And my mom, who is a huge advocate for me and my best friend in this whole journey, she would always tell me, like, just hang on, keep working hard. Like, you're only an ensemble right now. You will eventually get a lead role. Just don't give up, keep working hard. And I followed that exactly. And I finally ended up getting a lead role in Horton the Elephant in Seussical, which is one of my favorite musicals in the world. And that part showed me so much about what I was capable of, and so much of that confidence that I learned at a young age at theater, I still put into my performance lifestyle today and in my creator journey. So that's only why I'm taking you back that far, because so much of what I've done has wrapped all together. But I got that first lead when I was 12 years old in the show, and then that led into high school. And once I got into high school, I also began to do more parts, more musical theater, more choir, more performing, and I did all of that all of high school. So many shows a year, community theater really kept me busy. It really taught me a lot about balance and scheduling all my different things that I wanted to do, as well as with my social life. And a lot of, again, what I practice today, I learned at that young age from trying to balance theater and life and everything at one time. So once I graduated high school, I started to get the itch to start drag performing because I knew I was turning 21, and that had always been a dream of mine after seeing multiple queens on. This was now the early days of RuPaul's Drag Race, but even just knowing RuPaul and just knowing that it was an art form, it's not as big as it was today, but it was still an art form back then that I was aware of. So I wanted a piece of it. And I arranged for at my 21st birthday to literally be in drag, and I even begged the venue event planner of my 21st birthday to let me perform at the event, and he agreed. So I climbed on this stage in drag for my first time at 21, and I performed for my friends and family. And then the next day I was in the city competing and looking for bar gigs, and I was just so into drag, and I was taking all of the things that I learned in theater as a kid, and all of that confidence and all of the things that taught me how to stand out and be myself, and fight for my talent and my craft. I took all of that from a kid and from theater, and I wrapped it into drag. And I did that for years and years and years. I love drag so much. I love the art of makeup and performing and lip syncing and just creating something from scratch. And then when 2020 rolled around, I decided I wanted to take an extra step in drag that no one else was taking. I realized that only the queens who were on RuPaul's Drag Race were creating music and, doing well with it, obviously, because of their following coming from Drag Race. But other local queens kind of just were known for hitting the bar, doing their show, and going home. I wanted to do a little bit more, and I wanted to create a drag original single that I could use to perform, rather than I would always do a lot of Britney, a lot of Pussycat Dolls, all the really fun feminine pop stars I was known for performing as when I went out into the clubs and the bars. But I wanted to create my own original song. So I contacted one of my favorite producers and music stars, B. Ames, and she helped me produce and craft my first single, Lick, by Jasmine Anastasia, which is on my Spotify page, as well as iTunes and wherever music is sold. And we crafted Lick together from the ground up, and it's one of my greatest accomplishments. And one of the things I was most excited about after crafting my very first song was creating my own music video. So I literally changed around my room, really arranged everything, did what I